I thank the Honourable Viliame Gavoka for his contribution to the debate, and I now give the floor to the Honourable Viliame Gavoka. You have the floor.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Ministers, Honourable Members of the House, and ladies and gentlemen. I rise to contribute to the debate relating to His Excellency's speech on the opening of Parliament last week. Honourable Speaker, just before I start, I just want to touch a bit on what the Honourable Miti had shared with us today in relation to Israel. Over the last few days, there was a resolution in the United Nations to condemn Israel for some land issues. And Fiji voted against Israel with the multitude of nations. Only 8 nations voted with Israel. At a time when Israel was, at a time when missiles were raining over Israel, when the Israelites were hiding in the bunkers, Fiji should have stood with Israel. The vast majority of our people would have loved to see that. Honourable Speaker, His Excellency the President has delivered a speech designed to set the stage for the year in a manner, but unfortunately that fell short of expectations. We know it is the fault of the governments of the day, Fiji First, that a very poor speech was given to His Excellency, who we know is a favorite son of Fiji and deserves much, much better. Be that as it may, His Excellency has asked us 3 questions, which can be summarized in one sentence: be honest with yourself and speak the truth. In one of the lines, His Excellency has highlighted there are still elements who choose to undermine our prosperity. I asked the question, Honourable Speaker, what prosperity? Honourable Speaker, let me share with the House the GDP per capita in Oceania. Number 1, of course, is Australia. The GDP per capita is $43,000. Australia has a GDP of $1.32 trillion. Number 2 is New Zealand, $30,400. Number 3 is Palau, $10,500. Number 4 is Marshall Islands, $8,700. Number 5 is Tonga, $8,200. Number 6 is Micronesia, $7,300. Number 7 is Kiribati, $6,400. Number 8 is Samoa, $6,200. Number 9 is Nauru, $5,000. And number 10 is Fiji, $4,900. These are in US dollars, Honourable Speaker.
How old are the figures?
I'm going back to 2017, 2018, Honourable Speaker. The source, Honourable Speaker, is Inequality.com, an independent, privately owned website in Toronto, Canada. They are dedicated to providing wider knowledge of the world's countries and regions using sources from the UN and the American CIA. Honourable Speaker, GDP per capita is a universal measure globally for the prosperity of nations. It is the best measurement of a country's standard of living. It tells how prosperous a country feels to each of its citizens. Honourable Speaker, all the islands from Palau to Nauru don't have what Fiji has. They don't have cities like Suva and Lautoka, or the major townships such as Nadi, Lombasa, Ba and others. They don't have an airport like Nadi. They don't have ports like Suva and Lautoka. They don't have hotels and resorts. They don't have an airline with modern jets. They don't have the likes of Monasavu, Nandariwa, Hydro schemes, of Turu Dam. They don't have our industries. They don't have our road network. They don't have our universities. We have much, much more. But on a per capita basis, we have less money in our pockets. Honourable Speaker, as we speak today, our women, Fijian women, are being hired in Tonga for domestic duties. We are less prosperous. Why? It is because, Honorable Speaker, a significant sector of the population is not engaged productively in the economy of the country. And who are these? They are the Itoke, the indigenous people or the natives, once known exclusively as the Fijians. They make up 60% of the population, but control less than 20% of the capital, and in the process, make up the majority of the poor in Fiji. I have often referred to their poverty as the elephant in the room. It looms large, and no one can miss it. But we cannot ignore it. It is awkward talking about it. It is deemed racist when you talk about it, but it does not diminish in size. It is unmoving, and something has to be done about it. Leadership in the past have not been blind to the poverty of the Itoke. All sorts of programs were set up to help them, borrowing from practices in other countries, and while the results were mixed, progress was being made. Honorable Speaker, it is generational. If you don't take your foot off the pedal, you press on. His Excellency talks about shielding and empowering those that are vulnerable. But sadly, for 13 years, the Fiji First and Bainimarama have done exactly the opposite for the most economically vulnerable people, the Itoke. The Prime Minister Ratuseka Mrs. Amara had his affirmative actions. The Prime Minister Rambuka had his 9-point plan. And the Prime Minister Ngarase had his 50-50 vision by 2020, all designed.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir. I think the honourable member is misleading Parliament because I've just got the figures we quote on GDP. And the International Monetary Fund figures quote the GDP that there's Australia first, New Zealand GDP per capita, Australia, New Zealand, Nauru, and then Fiji. Fiji is the fourth. So I don't know where the honourable member got his figures from. This is from the International Monetary Fund 2018 figures, list of Oceania countries by GDP per capita. So honourable member has actually misled Parliament by saying Fiji is number 8 or number 7, whatever he's quoting.
Parliament, Honourable Speaker,
As usual.
Honourable Speaker, this is from a website, a credible website. There are people who rate countries' prosperity. You have the American CIA. You have the UN. You have the IMF. You have the World Bank. We are going according to this one, Honourable Speaker, and he's doing the rounds today. As I said, Honourable Speaker, our women are serving as housemaids in Tonga.
In the Cook Islands too.
So let's not play around with figures. This is. You can have your figures. You can have your figures. We have our figures. They can have their figures. We have our figures. But the reality is what people. Honourable Speaker, instead of continuing. Incidentally, Honourable Speaker, I've seen all that. But it's more relevant to us. It's more real to Fiji. What his website has done. Is the reality of life in Fiji, Honourable Speaker. We are not prosperous. Instead of continuing the efforts of the past PM to elevate the Itoke and create parity in the sale of wealth, or remove the elephant from the room, PM Bainimarama has done very little. Put very simply, no people in modern times has been neglected economically as the natives of Fiji.
Order.
The Itoke have become listless and left adrift with little money coming their way. We are polarized as ever. We have low GDP per capita relative to our neighborhood, and we are on the verge of economic collapse. The revised forecast of 1%, Honourable Speaker, is already in negative territory.
1%? Mr. 1%?
Yes, we have had years of consecutive economic growth,
Empty.
But growing the economy on consumption and public spending is nothing to write home about, Honorable Speaker. Anyone can spend money like a drunken sailor, as we have witnessed in this country.
Drunken sailor.
The enthusiasm for Fiji First is waning, and people have realized that it is disastrous neglecting the Itoke. This was clearly evident, Honorable Speaker, from the 2018 election results. Some 637 This is from the Fiji Elections Office. Some 537 voters were registered to vote. 35.6 voted for Fiji First. 35.6 voted for the opposition, and 28.8% abstained, did not vote. There was only a difference of 147 between Fiji First and the opposition. Honorable Speaker, the writing is on the wall that the policies of Fiji First is no longer in vogue or acceptable to the people of Fiji. And as I've said this morning, once the opposition decide to coalesce, Fiji First is toast. You haven't got a hope in this country as a political party. You haven't got a hope. You might as well go home, Honorable Speaker. There's no way. There's no way they can continue to win the elections.
Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, the aspirations of the Itoke is legitimate and in keeping with the Charter of the United Nations for Indigenous People. We have often spoken about ILO 169 and UNRIP, provisions for the indigenous people which Fiji should embrace. But Fiji First comes with all sorts of irrational excuses why we cannot. It is evidence that people are rejecting the Fiji First politics of fear, that for modern minds, demonizing the legitimate aspirations of the Itoke is ridiculous and serves no purpose. Honorable Speaker, Fiji First shamelessly played on this fear during the last elections. I was shocked to learn that the Hindustani radio station kept running whole day with a line by Fiji First that a vote for Biman Prasad is a vote for Sitibin Rambuka. That's the kind of politics of fear. To most Fijians, Honorable Speaker, 1987 and 2000 were a million years ago. It's gone, it's done. People have changed. They see wisdom and benefits in embracing the economic aspirations of the Itoke and weave them into the economic development plans of the country. The Itoke are numerous, making up the vast majority of the population. They own the resources, and uplifting them will grow Fiji's economy to heights well beyond our imagination. Uplifting the Itoke will be like the rising tide that lifts all boats. Mauritius has a GDP of 14.22 billion. That's a type of figure that comes to mind with all cylinders firing. The Fiji economy was well into recovery. Mauritius' economy, Honorable Speaker, saw dramatic increases from 2003 to 2018. The Fiji economy was well into recovery mode under the SDL government in 2023. It is too bad that somebody executed the coup in 2006. But let's explore measures we can immediately implement to improve the economic well-being of the Itoke. Honorable Speaker, number one, increase leases of gross receipts for native land on which hotels are built. Tourism will soon be making $2 billion. Yet some of the landowners are only making 2% or 3% of gross.
Ask the previous government what did they do?
And it would take another 40 to 50 years to make 5.5%. Recently, Honorable Speaker, leases in general were renewed at 3.5% with 0.0% increase every 10 years, meaning that it'll get to 5.5 in 40 years. But if we factor in the fact that the original leases started in the 70s, it will be close to 100 years by the time we make 5.5%. Naviri on the Coral Coast and Mana in the Malolo are two that need urgent review. Number two, pay the Ngolingoli owners lease for the overwater bungalows that sit on the Ngolingolis. We hear from the Minister of Fisheries about the initiative by Marriott to protect marine life, but start by paying lease for the overwater bungalows at Momi to the one of Nalolo. Number three, repeal the surfing decree and pay the Ngolingoli owners for the use of the Ngolingoli for recreation. The villagers of Momi and Ambila were cruelly denied proceeds for surfing at Tabarua, which since termination, Honorable Speaker, have amounted to some $10 million. It is weird to do this to the poorest people in Fiji. Number four, introduce a surcharge to supplement the income of tourism workers who largely eat okay, as they do in most countries in Asia. I brought the petition here. It was killed in committee by Fiji First. Number five, introduce a $4 or $5 minimum wage, which would largely benefit the Itoke as they make up the majority of the low-paid workers. Number six, reinstate the retirement age in the civil service to 60, where the majority are Itoke. Number seven, grow the engineering corps in the military and have the Itoke youth develop technical skills through hands-on experience and formal classes at recognized institutions. Number eight, engage the prison population, which is largely Itoke, in productive activities. The cane harvesting scheme, Honorable Speaker, was welcomed by farmers. I was part of the committee for the Bill 19 and 20, and the farmers lamented the fact that the prison authorities made it difficult for them for a scheme that was working for both the prisoners and the farmers. Our young people who leave prison with money in their pocket would help reduce cases of recidivism. Number nine, revive the trust set up by the pine and mahogany owners to allow them to take on commercial activities. Many may have failed, but lessons have been learned, and we must reapply ourselves. Honorable Speaker, I know of a banker, owner of a bank, Bangkok Bank, and he was known to have lent money 3 times to a person who has been bankrupt 3 times. But as long as the person had the will, had the energy to do it, he would bless him. He would give him money. Our landowners, I hope the Minister for Forest will take this on. A lot of trusts have been set over the years. Most now are idle or dormant. They need to be revived and encourage our people to get into commercial activities. Number 10, on agriculture, make the collection centers built all over Fiji work. Many are in areas dominated by tokes, but are lying dormant for lack of production aligned to demand. Honorable Speaker, when I heard about the agricultural revolution, I visualized something that I see today with Grace Road. Only later I realized that the agricultural revolution was Grace Road, which is tragic. And Honorable Speaker, it has come up quite a bit in the last 2 days, but it is significant that the lady has spoken very, very poorly about Fijians. But what is significant is this: the only politicians they meet are the Fiji First politicians they have met. They have not met anyone from Sedapa or from NFP. Only the Fiji First people.
Order.
So for her to say that must be saying something about our. There's lots of stuff you can do, Honorable Speaker. The list is endless. But let me ask everyone to have a read of the 9-point plan and the 20-year development plan. At that time, they may have sound racist, but in today's time, it is necessary, and I think we should all embrace it. Honorable Speaker, I just want to end with what concerns me. Writing in the Fiji Sun on on the 26th of August 2019, Nemani Batiki, under the heading Truth, First Casualty and Dirty Politics, he said something like this. Speaking to people of all races, from Ba to Lautoka, Nandi, and Singatoka, I discovered a disturbing resurgence of hatred and bitterness that was prevalent in the last two general elections. This is Nemani Batiki, who normally writes effusively about the work of Fiji First. And I'm afraid, Honorable Speaker, that this is true, and it is all economics. We need to address the economics of the country, especially the aspirations of the Itoke, who we believe are being neglected today. Honorable Speaker, we have a country today that is on the verge of economic collapse. We don't see any way around it, and we are asking that this government steps down. Honorable Speaker, let me just end by reading this. This was on the 4th of January 2007 by the Commodore Waragambai Marama when he said this. Most seriously, the large government deficit, the failure of the SDL government to cut spending, the failure to revive the sugar industry, the failure to solve the land problem, the racist and selective education policies, the rapidly deteriorating public health services, the escalating poverty, the hiking interest rates, the lack of employment, the most inevitable devaluation of Fiji dollar, the neglect to increase exports, mismanagement, corruption, disrespect, the rule of law, and the undermining of democratic values since 2000. This was the reason for the coup. Honorable Speaker, fast forward to November 2019, his words have convicted him. This is what he said 4 January 2007. Fast forward to today, his words have convicted him, and I agree with my colleagues that he should step down. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honourable Viliame Gavoka for his contribution to the debate. Honourable members,